Welcome to the Tea of Life podcast, where our mission is to transform every area of life by encouraging and equipping you to live the life you love and love the life you live. I am your host, Tiffany Thompson. Hey, and welcome to this episode of Tea of Life podcast. This is episode number 80. That is a big 80 if you are keeping count. And if you are new to my podcast, I'd like to take a moment and say a great big thank you for listening. So, thank you for listening. Last episode, we did an audio unboxing of the new Studio 12 earbuds. And if you missed that episode, you need to make sure that you go back and listen to it, because in that episode, we talk about how much we love the new Studio 12 earbuds. That's SUDIO TOLV earbuds, and why. And we also talk about why we actually like them better than the Apple AirPods. So I am using my 12 earbuds on a regular basis right now, and I just love them. I love the design. I love how they fit into my tiny ears, but they also still fit into my husband's ears. And no, I am not saying that he has big ears. So husband, if you are listening, that is not what I'm saying at all. What I am saying is that I think that I am the one with the freakishly small ears, because every earbud I have ever put into my ears fall out as soon as I turn my head. So basically, I would walk around with a stiff neck whenever I would be wearing them, but not these. These stay in my ears. I use them wherever I go and even working in the yard. And they have never fallen out of my ears. So these Studio 12 earbuds have the latest technology with Bluetooth version 5.0. They have a graphene driver for enhanced sound clarity. And they have built-in microphones for phone calls, voice text, Siri, Google, whatever it is that you need that for. 35 hours of playtime. And get this, they are even sweat resistant. Yes, I said that, sweat resistant. But most importantly, y'all, they come in different colors. Yes, they have pink and green and black and blue and white. So if you can check them out by going to the Studio Sweden website, which is sudio.com, or you can follow a link in my show notes where you will find out that you can receive 15% off of your total purchase. Yes, I said total purchase from Studio Sweden by entering TPOD15. That's TEAPOD 15. And these earbuds are already a great low price to begin with, especially compared to some others that I may or may not have mentioned a couple of minutes ago. But right now, you can get them at an even lower price. Also, as if that's not enough, right now, at the time of this episode release, they are giving away a passport cover for free with every purchase. And they have free shipping all over the world. So go there, check them out, and get something for yourself while you are there. You will only regret it if you don't. And I want to remind you that at the time of this episode release, there's only 111 days until Christmas. So I'm sure you have a list out there for someone else, or maybe even yourself. So buy yourself a Christmas present and go ahead and check some of those other people off of your Christmas present as well. You will be their favorite. I can guarantee that. So go there and check them out. So today I'm going to talk about true belonging. I'm going to talk about what it feels like, or what we do, what we need to do when we don't fit in. So I have this quote from Brené Brown, and hopefully you know who Brené Brown is. If not, you should definitely Google her as soon as you get finished with this podcast. You will probably not regret it. So she has a quote that says, "True belonging is the spiritual practice of believing in and belonging to yourself so deeply that you can share your most authentic self with the world and find sacredness in both being a part of something and standing alone in the wilderness." True belonging doesn't require you to change who you are. It requires you to be who you are. And I love that. So today I want to talk to you who feel like you cannot love the life you're living because you have been told that you are not good enough. I want to talk to you who, for whatever reason, feel like you don't fit in. Maybe you've been told that you don't fit in, that you don't measure up, or that you're not good enough. Maybe you were told this by a so-called peer in school. Maybe a boss, a family member such as a sibling or a cousin, maybe even one or both of your parents, or possibly even your church or church family, who are really the ones who we are supposed to be able to fit into. It happens way too often where churches exclude people who they don't feel are like them or who are not what they want to portray their quote-unquote house of God to be like. It seems that if you undermine anyone in some churches and don't completely line up with the way that they have their philosophy about how their congregation should be, you are immediately shunned and made to feel like you are not welcome. And if this is the case, please know that these particular people who call themselves authority figures in the church are not acting in their own best interest. They are not being Christ-like at all. Christ included all and still includes all. He welcomed and still welcomes all. And if this has been your experience, first of all, I want to say that I am severely sorry for how you've been treated. And I want you to know that those people are not reflecting the one true Christ. And our true Christ is nothing like that at all. So for whatever reason, you've been told that you feel like you don't measure up or that you are different than those around you. You feel different. You think differently. You may even look different or dress differently. You are constantly wondering where you fit into this world you call home. Or maybe you don't call it home. Maybe you think that your world will finally come in the afterlife. You feel that everyone around you is different than you. And maybe you know why. Maybe you can't quite put your finger on what's different about you than them, but you know that something definitely is. It may or may not be consoling to you to find out or hear that we all feel this way at some time or another. Everyone wants to fit in, even those who say they don't. We all want to feel like we belong. We want to feel welcome wherever we go. We want to feel like we are accepted and loved. We want people to know who we really are, to know our name. And yeah, I immediately heard that Cheers theme song playing in the background as well. But I think it's safe to say that we all want to feel this way, accepted, loved, and really known. We all want to feel known in a sense of having a deep connection with someone else or even a group of someone else's. And we all long for that security that we feel that it will actually bring to us. There is something about having a deep relationship with others by their physical presence. There have been studies that have even shown that those who have the most interaction with others in the physical form are the happiest. And even those who have the most interaction with others in an online state only, like only through Facebook or Instagram or some kind of social media or YouTube or whatever, but they don't actually have a lot of physical around them. They don't actually have that physical relationship with people around them in their presence. they still feel alone. And so just because you may have a lot of followers or a lot of interactions with others online, or you see that with other people and you think, wow, they must be really happy and excited and loved. And yeah, that doesn't mean that. You can still feel alone in this world and that you don't actually fit in, and probably less than enough, even with all those people following you or following them, the people that we see. So sometimes when we don't fit in, it can just be a feeling that we have that isn't actually true due to our own insecurities. And we think that if we were to tell someone how we feel, they just wouldn't understand. And learning to accept ourselves and who we are and who we're meant to be is a good step in actually being accepted by others as well. We have to love ourselves first. I just want to ask you, do you accept yourself for who you really are? Do you feel that you need to change in order to be loved and accepted? If so, this can stem from actually having those words spoken to you at one time or another, or even over the course of time. Having this kind of negativity spoken over us can really affect us, and it can affect how we feel about ourselves and how we think about ourselves. That doesn't mean that this is who you really are. I'd be willing to bet that the person who spoke those words to you is not a happy person themselves, and they may seem happy, but they're really not. A truly happy person would never tell someone else these things. Anytime something like this is said to you, I would encourage you to ask yourself, but what does Jesus say about me? And if you're not a spiritual person, if you're not a Jesus follower, then maybe ask yourself, what do I say about me? Because I know for a fact that I would not say those negative words to myself. And I know for a fact that Jesus speaks life. He does not speak death. And anything that goes against that is not from him. However, there can be times that we don't actually fit in. And the reason for this is that we could actually be trying to fit into all the wrong places where we were never meant to fit in to begin with. The group that you may be trying to fit into may not be a healthy group themselves. They may look very appealing on the outside, but if you take a closer look into the inside or even get access to the inside, you will see that they are just an emotional mess. And if you find that you are a part of a group like this and that you don't actually fit in, it can be a really good thing, especially if you are cut loose or choose to leave on your own. But know that if that happens, if you are cut loose from this group for not fitting in, they will more than likely make it look like it was all you, that you were the one with the problem and not them. But you will know the truth, and I guarantee that those around you who really know you will also know the truth. There will be no need to prove anything after you're gone, and just count your blessings and move on with your bad self. So it's not that you don't really fit in. I mean, it is, but what I mean is that you really don't want to fit into this kind of people group. If you have any kind of inkling that this group that you are trying to fit into is not emotionally healthy, do not settle, ever. You need to run, and I guarantee that the ones that you end up finding in the opposite direction just may be the ones that you're looking for. You need to continue being true to yourself and keep searching. Your group is out there, I promise. But there are some things that we can do ourselves that will allow us to move into a positive direction and even feel more loved and accepted by a group of people or by those healthy ones who are already around us. And I'm going to unpack some of those with you. If we feel that we are unloved and unaccepted, it could be that we ourselves aren't loving and accepting of others or even ourselves. Have you allowed those negative words spoken over you to settle into your heart and mind, and you now believe them? Do you accept yourself for who you really are? Do you accept yourself for what you look like? Do you accept yourself for your intellectual capabilities or incapabilities, or for your physical incapabilities? Is there a part of yourself that you don't want to accept and it's gotten in the way of every relationship that you have had the privilege of being a part of? No two people think exactly the same. Even if it appears at first that they do, eventually there will be a disagreement. Are you accepting when someone doesn't agree with you? Do you accept the ideas or suggestions of others? And do you feel that your ideas and suggestions are superior to everyone else's? If someone happens to tell you no, how do you react to that? The ability to accept the word no can say a lot about your character and your own boundaries. In fact, I wrote an article about this very thing. Actually, I wrote more than one, but I'll put a link to one of them in my show notes. And if you go there, you can also find the other articles at the same link. So if you know someone who cannot accept the word no and expects to get everything they want or expects you to say yes to everything, even though you believe it's not in the best interest of them or yourself, you may want to take a moment and read this article. Sometimes people can do us wrong or disagree with us, and it may cause us to want to throw our arms up and say, I'm done. Being loving to them can be really tough, but if we continue to love during the worst of times, we will always prevail and come out on top of the situation. Eventually, everyone around you will see that you have loved unconditionally, even when it was hard. And you will be respected and loved back for it. Plus, history shows that the truth will eventually show itself in the other person as well. So I've heard it said that sometimes it's best to love someone from a distance. We also need to love and accept those who we don't agree with. And there are all kinds of people around us that we don't agree with and who we will never agree with no matter what. We can and do have different opinions of religion and politics, and we can even have a difference of opinion of social behavior, even down to the mom whose kid won't behave in public. I mean, we all have opinions about that, right? Until we're the mom, till we're in that situation, then we have a whole different opinion and sometimes even an excuse, right, about that situation. We all know people who judge others based on these things, and we may even form opinions about someone because of how they're dressed or how they wear their hair, makeup. Maybe you're the one with all the tattoos and you're tired of being judged about it before people even get to know you. You are someone with a story that you'd like to share, and you know that others would begin to love you if they just got to hear your story and why you are the way you are. So we live in a time, actually, I believe that we've always lived in these times or in times like these, but it's just more prevalent now with social media and the news hyping up everything. But we live in a time when people have a hard time loving or even just accepting those who look, think, and believe differently than us. And I'm not sure why or what this stems from, maybe our own insecurities, but we feel that if someone thinks differently than us, then they are wrong. And we seem to be very quick at turning away those who show any signs of disagreement with our own thoughts and convictions. And we're very good at letting everyone know as well, as if we're saying, hey, look at me, I don't agree with them, so I'm the good one. And we're very good at holding at arm's length those who look and act differently than us. We're so afraid that if we show any quote unquote acceptance to anyone like this, then we're showing acceptance to their viewpoint, or that they may rub off on us and we may even become like them. And this is not true at all. If we are a Jesus lover, we have to be more loving toward everyone. And yes, even those who don't agree with us, for goodness sake, if you love Jesus, please stop saying, I am over it. All right? I am over hearing the words, I'm over it, about certain things that you don't agree with. I mean, can you imagine if Jesus would have said that to us or said that about us? He probably had every right to say that about us. We don't get a pass to say that we're over it and walk away and throwing our arms up in the air, just like we're saying, I'm done. We need to lean into those who think differently than us. We need to walk toward them and ask questions. And you know what? We may just learn a thing or two along the way. So we need to remember that in order to love someone, we first have to open our hearts and let others in. We have to become vulnerable. And for some of you, I probably just lost you. And you're not listening to this episode anymore because becoming vulnerable is just too hard and has gotten you hurt too badly in the past. And I totally understand that. A lot of us do. We all have been vulnerable at one time or another, and we have all been burned by it. The vulnerability that I am talking about here is not vulnerability as in sharing absolutely everything, even the things that no one should ever know, and then allowing others to take advantage of you because of it. You have to have good, healthy boundaries in order to not let others take advantage of you in a way that is harmful to you or themselves, both emotionally and physically. And I talk about 6 healthy boundaries in episode number 73. I will put a link to that in my episode notes, and you can go back and listen to it. But it's a great one if you need a little bit of help setting healthy boundaries for yourself and your relationships. They are kind of easy, no-brainers, and I think you'll find it very helpful. So allow yourself to become vulnerable in a way that you open up your heart to others. You allow yourself to have meaningful conversations. Be genuinely interested in someone else and the story that they have to share. And when someone asks you questions about yourself, don't shut down and don't lie to them. This is the vulnerability that I was referring to. Be willing to open up and share about yourself, things that you feel may be of interest to the other person. If you find that something that they said strikes a chord with you, or you have a similar story, share it. People like to know that they are not alone. Sometimes others like to hear the words, "me too." Some of us feel alone because we have not allowed others to love us. We have shut down our acceptance of love because we have been hurt by love in the past. And if you're not letting others in, they can't get in. They will not force their way into your life. You have to consciously open yourself up to receive acceptance. And if you've done this and someone has still told you that you don't fit in, that's okay. In this case, the problem lies with them. And maybe you don't actually want to fit into their world after all. And you have a better world awaiting you where you will fit in better and better than you could ever have imagined. And if this is the case, you need to realize that those are not your people, and you need to go out and search for that other world and actually find your people. The next thing that I'm going to say is kind of tricky, and I don't want you to hear me wrong, but you need to become the people who you are trying to fit in with. I only mean this in a positive manner, of course. I mean, if you're trying to fit in with the gang members and the drug dealers, then you may need counseling because that should never be anyone's goal. But what I'm talking about here is that if you are looking for someone or a group of someones who are trustworthy, then you need to be trustworthy yourself. If you are looking for someone or a group of someones who are loyal, then you need to be loyal. Looking for someone who is honest, then you need to be an honest person. If you're looking for someone who's accepting of you and your shortcomings, then you need to be accepting of others and their shortcomings as well. We tend to find people who are like us. If we are critical of others, then the people we hang out with are probably also going to be critical of others. And that's actually probably a good mirror. If you want to know what you're actually like, take a step back and look at what your friends are really like. And the people we spend the most time with are a reflection of who we are. And sometimes we need to change what we believe or think about others. What we believe about ourselves or about others will become true and evident. And we can find evidence to back up anything that we believe. I mean, for real. About others in the world, we can find evidence to back up anything we believe, like I just said. So give yourself the benefit of the doubt and think that things may not be as you perceive them to be. Be willing to open up your mind to new ways of thinking and don't allow yourself to get stuck in the past. I've read where actually accepting yourself can allow you to accept others. Some of us don't accept ourselves for who we really are, which leads us to feeling like we don't fit in. If we don't accept who we really are, we will continue to try to be someone else or be like someone else. And this will lead us to search for those who fit into that person we think we are, and we're really not. And so it's uncomfortable and we don't fit in and we can't figure out why. And if we see ourselves differently than what we really are, and we continue to try to fit ourselves in with those who line up with that person that we think we are, but we're really not, we will always be frustrated, confused, and exhausted from always trying to be something or someone that we are not and who we were never meant to be in the first place. We were created to be ourselves, a real, authentic version of ourselves. We all have something to contribute based on who we are and how we are. And we are all made unique and uniquely, and there are no two people exactly alike in every way. Science has proven this. What a boring world it would be if everyone were to be exactly like everyone else. Okay, so to recap, I want you to remember to learn to accept yourself, learn to love and accept others. Are you writing these down? Allow yourself to become a healthy version of vulnerable, and remember that no one wants to hear about anything that no one should hear about. Be genuinely interested in someone else and the story that they have to share. The people who we spend the most time with are a true reflection of who we really are. Remember to be willing to open up your mind to a new way of thinking and don't allow yourself to get stuck in the past. Accept yourself and stop trying to be someone else or like someone else. Be who you are, because your people await. Oh, and don't forget to check out the Studio 12 earbuds that I told you about. Go to sudio.com, that's sudio.com, and remember to put in Teapod 15 at checkout for your 15% off your entire purchase, plus free shipping and a free passport cover. That is TEAPOD 15. If you like Tea of Life podcast and you've got two friends who want to create the life that they love to live, tell them about us. Find us on your favorite social media platform like Facebook or Instagram. Also, right now before you forget, go to Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts and search for Tea of Life podcast. Hit the subscribe button and never miss an episode. Thank you for listening to Tea of Life podcast. We will see you next Thursday.